browsing some vintage Nintendo Power magazines. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, comic book fan. Welcome to another episode of the weekly VM Campos Comic Book Club. This is a series where I review a comic book, new or old, from my collection. Now this week I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually reviewing every cover of Nintendo Power from 1992, 30 years ago. Wow, the good old days. Nintendo Power in the 90s. Super Nintendo was out at this time. I had my Super Nintendo day one, and I had a subscription to Nintendo Power day one as well. So this is going to be a long, loving look at the various covers of this whole year in 1992. Now, if you'd like me to browse the inside of these books, which are also very amazing, tell me in the comments and pick one of the ones that I'm going to look at here and I can do a deep dive about it. So let's browse each one of these covers, check the description for the various chapter stops to jump to each particular cover each particular month. And don't forget to give a like. Better yet, don't forget to click that thanks button right here in YouTube. It's way better than a like, I swear. It also helps out the channel a lot. Well, on with the show. All right, we start off January 1992. 30 years ago, Nintendo Power. First of all, for some of you youngsters, Nintendo Power was the monthly magazine that you would subscribe to. It would come straight from Nintendo, so it was this amazing propaganda piece about all of the amazing Nintendo stuff that's coming out. It would keep you in the know with previews, tips and tricks, and also comics. It was so amazing. We would also get some cool free stuff throughout the years. There were CDs of music and VHS tapes of the Star Fox 64 launch. It was amazing. But anyway, we're going to focus on the covers. So this is my original cover from back in the day, 30 years ago. I still have it. It's in pretty good condition. You know, I can't really CGC slab it and it'll be anything better than a 5.0. It's complete with the poster, actually. But we started off the year with Super Castlevania IV, Simon's Monstrous New Quest. This is the source for news and strategy straight from the pros. Plus it mentions new comics and more. We got this beautiful painted cover of Simon Belmont swinging into action. It was the first Castlevania game for the Super Nintendo. The amazing innovation was that you could whip in all directions. It was amazing. Plus the music was amazing. The graphics were amazing. It was an amazing game. Very, very moody. And that was the cover here. The cover feature, January 1992, volume 32. I will also take a quick look at the back cover. Sometimes there's some cool stuff there, such as keep your game in high gear. We have Mario driving his Mario vehicle, which I think that's the exact same pose there, just copied and pasted in. They removed his hand right here because he's driving. And so that's early Photoshop. Yes, there was Photoshop in 92, or they might have been using CorelDRAW or something. So does this phone number even work anymore? I think it might actually, because Nintendo's a big, profitable company that can hold on to this phone number for decades. Keep your winning edge with Service Mario and the Nintendo World Class Service team. You can't beat Nintendo for great products and world-class service to back them up. Tune-up, spare parts, repairs, just name it, and gear up. So they would repair your broken Nintendo and Game Boy and the like, and you'd get Nintendo World-Class Service. February 92 brings us Turtle Power. TMNT 3, The Manhattan Project, dive into big city action. I always thought the Turtles art that wasn't officially, I guess, Mirage or Archie art was kind of off-model to me. I don't know why. They try to go with this realism that I didn't quite love. Tell me in the comments, is this an accurate Raphael? There's Donatello down there in the sewer. But the Archie comics were my favorite style of art in the day, and that's when I was reading Turtles. Actually, my brother was getting the Turtles books, and I was reading them, of course. I was reading Spider-Man. But I was very used to the comic book art style of Archie comics and the Saturday morning cartoons, so this one felt like a little bit off to me. And this was previewing or showcasing TMNT 3. Everyone knows that the first Ninja Turtles game for Nintendo is one of the hardest games ever. I could get pretty far into it, but when you get to the last level, it is unrelenting. It is soul-crushingly difficult. It really exemplifies Nintendo hard. I don't really remember playing this game very much. Part 3 of the series. I don't even remember Part 2, really. So here we have already Part 3, The Manhattan Project. Plus 10 more mega hits. The back cover of this one features Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and the action set, the red version of the Zapper. So obviously they didn't want their light gun accessory to look very realistic, which it didn't look in the original, of course, but they made it even less realistic with bright orange coloring. I've got the original colors, actually. And then the Super Nintendo box, I remember that box so much. I still have it in my garage. And then just the magical day when I got my Super Nintendo. I don't think I've still got my original Game Boy box. I still have the original Game Boy that we had back in the day, however. And here's a triple play. Nintendo gives you the power to choose classic power, portable power, super power. Any way you play, you'll win with the Nintendo 3 times over. Now you're playing with power. That was the slogan for a long time. Oh yeah, in March 92, we got The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Magic, Danger, and Daring Deeds. So this was the debut of one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time, Zelda 3, A Link to the Past. Hey, wait a minute, isn't it Zelda 4? Because we had Zelda 1 and 2 on the Nintendo, and then Zelda, the Game Boy game. This was officially, was it Zelda 3 or Zelda 4? Well, anyway, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. Amazing music, amazing visuals, amazing plot, and then we get this amazing cover of Nintendo Power with Link himself. He's real. I always loved it when they did these realistic depictions of their characters, these official realistic depictions. Here it is in the cover, plus all this green lightning. Amazing. Oh yeah, we got the official Nintendo seal of quality, showing you that this is a quality official Nintendo product. Plus Nestors, cast your vote. So back in the day, we had this comic strip, Howard and Nestor, which was Howard Lincoln and the fictional character Nestor. And they would get into adventures. It was a comic strip that would run in the magazine. Eventually, Howard Lincoln left Nintendo, so then it was Nestor all by himself. I don't quite recall that those series were as good as the originals. And so we've also got other comics again, if you want me to go into detail here. We had this really cool Mario comic here, which was amazing. So again, if you want me to go into detail into one of these books, tell me in the comments. Pick one of the months here, and I'll do a deep dive, page-by-page look at one of these Nintendo Powers if you want. So tell me in the comments. This back cover, just another one of these Keep Your Game in Gear ads. The April issue brings us a WWF Super Wrestlemania High Impact Super Action. Back in the day, it was called WWF, before those darn environmentalists took the name for themselves. You just can't battle those pandas. So we've got Hulk Hogan smashing, I don't quite remember, King Kong Bundy, I don't know. I don't quite remember the other names in wrestling. Hulk Hogan was the big one, of course. So this one was just hilarious to me because he's holding a Super Nintendo controller in his hand, crushing it, sparks flying out as he's doing his amazing pile driver. I don't know. I apologize. I don't know wrestling parlance. And so, yeah, this is just a hilarious cover. I love it. And it also mentions CD-ROM tech update. Yes, if you look in the history of video games, Nintendo was partnering up with Sony to make a CD-ROM attachment to the Super Nintendo, but then that project fell through, and Sony said, screw you guys, we're going to make our own video game system, and that was the PS1. So some might argue that was one of Nintendo's biggest blunders, to snub Sony so badly to get such a big competitor in the video game industry. Because Sony at that time was making, Discmans and Walkmans and such, and then they made the PlayStation and that dominated. But anyway, this is kind of metaphorical because Nintendo just KO'd the Sony CD-ROM project. Yeah, I think the analogy holds up. Back cover, just another one of the triple play ads. They kind of change and alternate sometimes, but that's the back cover and the front cover. When there's trouble, you call DW. Now this one's the most beaten up of all of these, unfortunately. The cover is almost 90% detached, so you gotta be careful with this little treasure. And here we have Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous with all of these sound effects. I always found it really weird that we had yow as that sound effect at the top there, and then a honk. Upside down exclamation point, or what is that symbol right there? Because we have regular exclamation point and the inverted exclamation point here for some reason, which is just something that you have in Spanish. I'm not sure why you've got it here, just to make it, I guess, like a really loud honk, perhaps. Obviously, it's not I honk, But anyway, that's just totally off topic. But yeah, Darkwing Duck, the Capcom series of Disney games were legendary back in the 90s. We had DuckTales, Tailspin, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time. It's so good, the music is so good, the characters animated so good, Gadget looks cute as ever. And here we had the latest one, Darkwing Duck, voiced by Jim Cummings. Such an amazing voice actor, so versatile as well. And I love this series so much. It was like a kid's version, a kid's take on Batman. Back cover is one of the repair ones again. Actually, I should give them a call and see if they can repair and restore my poor vintage issue of Nintendo Power, issue 36. Now, for some reason, I've got 2 copies of it. This is the one with my actual address, so this is the original one. And then, I don't know why I have a second copy of this. I was subscribed to Nintendo Power back in the day, but I don't know why I've got 2 copies of it. And sometimes we would let the subscription lapse, and I would miss an issue or 2, and I guess I got 2 copies of it for some reason. Volume 37 brings us Lemmings, Over the Edge Excitement. This was originally that PC game of guiding those little critters across a maze, keeping as many of them alive as possible, but sometimes you just gotta break a few lemmings to make an omelet. And this was a game that I definitely played on the Super Nintendo. It was a very good game, very great strategy game, just classic game. Although these characters don't look like lemmings at all. I don't know any lemmings with green hair and blue suits and shoes. And so we've also got Krusty's Funhouse feature. Oh man, all of those old Simpsons games are just so horrible. I don't even remember playing this one. My brother and I had the original Bart versus the Space Mutants. That was that first Nintendo game that was just so difficult again. That was one of those that I never got very far until I grew up, because it was just such a difficult game. That was a Nintendo hard game. It was just so weird, so difficult. And this was the Super Nintendo version of things, which is more of a puzzle than a platformer sort of game. Volume 37, back cover. It's just another one of the triple play covers. Back cover is kind of destroyed for some reason. Volume 37. Volume 38, Street Fighter II, hair racing action. Well, some of these puns are so bad, but this was the most sought-after revolutionary game that we wanted on the home consoles, because of course we had Street Fighter 1 in the arcades. I remember the version where you could actually punch the controller, no joke, look it up. Then there was, of course, Street Fighter II, which just shook the world of video games, and we couldn't wait to get it on home consoles. We got it on Super Nintendo, slightly censored here and there, such as blood versus vomit. Don't ask. And here was the cover feature on Street Fighter II, where you can play all of the characters. This was before you could play as the bosses. This was before Cammy, just the evolution. This was like Ground Zero. This was the beginning of the Street Fighter II dominance. This was also before Mortal Kombat 2. And we have Nintendo Power's password giveaway. I don't remember what that's about. Maybe we could browse it at some time. So once again, if you want me to browse the series at some point... Oh yeah, I remember this. This was when Peach was wearing Luigi's outfit. That looks so cute. And then even Luigi looks really cute in the dress. So this was an amazing comic. There's also a Zelda comic in here, which is also amazing. But again, if you want me to browse the individual issues, tell me in the comments. Better yet, click that thanks button here on YouTube. And that'll really show me you want to see the insides. And tell me which one you want to see, because we've got a whole year's worth of Nintendo Powers to enjoy. Back cover, we do get a change over here. We get Nintendo All-Stars. So it's the same sort of triple play ad. I think it's the exact same photos, just slightly different angles. But it's related to a football field, so I think they missed the mark here in showing that we've got a lot of great sports titles. Oh wait, there is something different. This is the challenge set. This one came with Super Mario 3 instead of Duck Hunt and the Zapper. But anyway, they missed the mark here because this seems like promoting their sports games, and there's really nothing there except for the field. And then they love the star field on top. So, yep, back cover, front cover. Isn't that a really off-model Guile? Fun fact, I used to think his name was Gully. Yes, I am embarrassed. Mario Paint. So this was the hot title of the day, with the Nintendo mouse, the official Nintendo mouse, where you can control Mario Paint. So you could draw, you could color, you could animate and make music. I had this game. I still have this game. This was such an amazing, not even a game. It was an edutainment title. It was a creative title. This was one of these games that was just so out of the box. It even had a game where you would be a fly swatter tapping on flies, evil robotic flies, and getting points and all of that. And you can, as I said, draw, paint, animate, make music. It had this cool MIDI feature. It could have this frame-by-frame animation. And then this sort of swatting game. It was just such a good, entertaining title. So we have music, moves, and masterpieces. Well, I love the alliteration, Nintendo, but that hardly makes any sense. We have the Street Fighter II secret code. If you'd like me to reveal it, tell me in the comments. And then the back cover is another one of the keep your games in high gear. I love it how Mario will travel the galaxy to go fix your Nintendo products. And speaking of Mario, I loved it when they would do, again, realistic aspects of these video games. So what is up with this maquette here? Does this exist anymore? How many did they make? If you put it on eBay, will it sell for $1 million? Because this must have been a one-off product. It's just so specifically created for this shot here. Mario holding a paintbrush. This toy wasn't out there in the real world, not even in Japan. There must have only been one of these in the world, and I would love to know whatever happened to this Mario maquette from 30 years ago. Plus, I don't understand, what are these shapes over here? These lights? Are these coming from the TV? Because you can get an edge of the TV over here, but I don't understand what these lights are here. I'm thinking too hard. Volume 40 from September brings you Felix the Cat. Now, I love Felix the Cat because I love the history of animation, comics and animation, and Felix is a character that's been around since the 20s, Otto Mesmer creation, and had short movies like Mickey Mouse and comic books throughout the years. But were we clamoring for a Felix video game in the 90s? Now, it's a fun game. It's based on the version of Felix with his magic bag, but I don't quite remember really playing it much in the day. But here they're giving it a lot of shine on the cover, and I just love his art. I always liked Felix the Cat. It's just that it's kind of interesting how they would just go so outside the box sometimes with video games. Yes, it was a licensed product. The company paid Nintendo a bunch of money. Please use our product, or vice versa, or whatever. And we got this Felix. Now, if you look at the cover, there's a lot of interesting aspects of it. A lot of these aspects of early Photoshop. Why do we have these balls here, these spheres of just specular highlight color? You just drop a gradient fill in there and you're done. Purple backgrounds, kind of a sunset, but then on an alien planet and an observatory. You got an observatory on an alien planet? That seems kind of backwards. It would be an observatory observing the alien planet. And then we've got this gradient also on the clasp of the bag. So just some things that I point out 30 years later that I didn't really notice 30 years ago. This is a brand new bag of Nestrix and Dino City and Soul Blazer. I don't remember those games at all. Tell me in the comments if you remember Dino City or Soul Blazer. Or what about the Felix the Cat game? Tell me in the comments. Back cover, just another one of the Nintendo All-Stars, where they should have been promoting Tecmo Bowl or something. October brings us another blockbuster game that is still going on strong years later, Super Mario Kart, fun in the fast lane. Now, I don't even remember it being called Super Mario Kart back in the day. I don't know if they changed the name at a certain point. It's just Mario Kart in my memory. And this had these amazing Mode 7 graphics, which was the Super Nintendo's ability to rotate graphics much better than the competitors' game consoles, and it really took advantage of that in this racing game. This was a really fun one, very colorful, cool racing game with the Mario characters. Now, why does Mario have the flag hey, I'm winning, but he's in last place? Even this Koopa Troopa is further along than Mario. So we have Super NES, Bart's Nightmare. I never played this one, but this was another one of the long lines of really bad Simpsons games. They just kept making them. They kept being pretty bad, in my recollection. And this one was about Bart going into virtual reality world or something? Or was there a VR Bart that I'm mixing it up with? But I thought this one was about virtual reality. Maybe I should browse the inside to remind me. But once again, if you'd like me to browse these insides, wow, this amazing Ishinomori art. You should tell me which one of these. You should tell me which one of these we should look at in the comments. And so, fun in the fast lane. Back cover, another one of these fun in the fast lane Mario ads. And also, if you notice, they start putting actually October on the cover. The other ones just said Volume X, and now they're starting to say the month as well. November, we're gearing up for the holidays, and what screams Christmas more than Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith? Now, I don't know if it really picks up on camera much, but this photo of Darth Vader is all blurry. There was either taken from a still where he was in movement or was small and blown up, but it doesn't look that high quality on the actual printing. Now also, is he observing the Death Star blowing up here, or what's happening over here? I guess that's the Death Star, although on top of it is the Super Mario Land 2 preview, and I don't recall any worlds blowing up in Super Mario Land 2, which was a Game Boy game. Anyway, I'm thinking too hard. Super Star Wars, Challenge the Dark Side. So the series of Star Wars games from LJN, or who published those? Star Wars games for the Super Nintendo, they were all amazing. They had great music, great gameplay, they were very action-packed. They released one for every one of the original trilogy. They were all amazing. They had mode 7 stages as well as side-scrolling platform stages. And then, of course, in Return of the Jedi, you can play as Slave Leia in her metal bikini. And so, yeah, we've got this interesting collage of a cover because you've got Vader, you've got these lines here for some reason, and some kind of landscape down here, which is also blurry and weird, and a Death Star blowing up, I guess. I'm still shook by this cover 30 years later. Now it's the holidays, so that means we got to start to prepare for high-powered greetings. Here we have Santa's sleigh driving itself with rockets strapped into it, bringing you the same 3 Nintendo products here. And the text, the team at Nintendo Power wishes you a high-powered holiday season full of NES, Super NES, and Game Boy fun for the whole family. And then this beautiful 80s style cityscape. I can just hear soft jazz playing in the background over the roar of the rocket blasts of the Christmas sleigh, of Santa's sleigh. Now wait a minute, if I look at it here, proportionally, these are huge inside that sleigh. Either that sleigh is tiny or these boxes are huge. You can't have one or the other. That's another thing that I just noticed after looking at this again for the first time in 30 years. The shockingly bad proportions. Hilarious. And then we come to the end of the year, 1992, with, of course, the #1 hotly anticipated game, Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally. So we end in 1992 with another licensed game over here, Warner Brothers cartoons characters, Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote. Tell me in the comments, do you stan the Roadrunner or do you stan Wile E. Coyote? Genius. I don't remember playing this game, but it was wasn't it something like a Sonic the Hedgehog-esque fast sort of game or something? Don't really remember playing it. Ooh, Ganon. Take him out, Zelda. And, so we got the beep beep, meep meep. Actually, would he say meep meep or beep beep? He would say meep meep, wouldn't he? So, okay, that's wrong right there. And then we've got NES, Batman Returns. So Batman Returns. It's not Batman Returns. Is it Batman Returns? Batman 2 with Catwoman? Or is it the Joker one? Return of the Joker? Oh, no, it is Batman Returns. Okay. Danny DeVito. We end the year 1992 with the brand new Roadrunner game for Super Nintendo. Back cover is another one of the high-powered holiday back covers. And so there were a whole bunch of rich kids that were getting these cool game systems for the holidays. Tell me in the comments, were you one of the rich kids that was getting all the Nintendo products? Looking back on things, I don't think I was one of the rich kids, but yeah, I had all the video games back in the day, plus a subscription to Nintendo Power, so maybe I was one of the rich kids. And that's how we end 1992. So just for fun, let me show you the top 3 covers that were my favorite that year. Number 3, I'm going to say it's the November issue, Volume 42, featuring Darth Vader. Again, there's a lot to nitpick about it. It's kind of blurry, the pastiche is kind of weird, but it's Darth Vader on the cover of a Nintendo Power issue. There would be more Star Wars to come, of course, but this was the first one. Number 2, we're going to go with Darkwing Duck. Now here's the nostalgia speaking. I honestly don't remember playing the game very much, although I did play so much DuckTales and so much Chip and Dale. I don't really remember playing much of this one, but those Capcom games, those Disney Capcom games for Nintendo were amazing. And I loved Darkwing Duck. I just totally related with Drake Mallard and all of the netizens of St. Canard, the city he protected. And then number 1 for the year was, of course, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past cover. As I said, I loved it when they would do the realistic covers. If you go back to the second issue of Nintendo Power, we had Castlevania II, Simon's Quest, in a realistic style, which gave kids nightmares, because it is a nightmarish cover. You can see it right here. And do you see the secret face in the cover? Yeah, that's a really scary cover. But anyway, this is not a scary cover. This is Link in real life. Love it. Look at that shield. It's amazing. Again, this is one of these things. Does this prop still exist somewhere in the world? And is it going to sell for $3 million on eBay? What about the original tunic that Link wore? What about the Master Sword? Does that Master Sword exist still nowadays? Was it plastic? Was it real metal? So many questions. And that was my favorite cover from March 1992, volume 34 of Nintendo Power magazine. And now I want to hear from you. Which of the 12 issues that we browsed in this video would you like me to go into detail about? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, battle the Minotaur. Better yet, why not click that thanks button here on YouTube? It really shows us creators that you enjoy our content when you click that thanks button. It's a way to keep us funded, keep us motivated, and keep us creating cool content just for you. Link would really appreciate that you click that thanks button here on YouTube. And I'd like to hear from you. Tell me your Nintendo Power memories. Did you have these issues back in the day? Do you still have them? Were they lost to time and space? Or are you a younger Nintendo fan? Did you enjoy looking at this nostalgic look at an old-timer's Nintendo Power collection? Tell me about it in the comments. It's hard to believe that it's been 10 years since the last issue of Nintendo Power was published. It really only seems like yesterday. But time flies when you're having fun. This has been VM Campos, and I've been playing with power.